Hi, mystery writers. Welcome to Write a Killer Mystery. I'm Zara Altair. This is where we learn to make a good mystery great. And today we're going to talk about overthinking your story. First, I want to thank my patrons on Patreon who help keep this video series alive and support my mystery writing. If you would like to support, there's a link in the description below. I would greatly appreciate your support. I love doing this series. Alright, so stop overthinking your story. Sometimes it feels like you're squeezing your story. It's like story planning helps you write faster. There's no doubt about that. And planning is why writers who start out as pantsers often convert to outlining, because it really does help. And you can focus on each scene. You know how it fits in the overall story. It helps writing go a lot faster. Story structure helps you navigate the highs and lows of your story and plan for major turning points that move the story in a new direction. There's plenty of story structures to choose from. And depending on which one you choose, you'll find a list of must-have story elements. The hero's journey has 12 points. Save the Cat has 15 beats. John Truby's Anatomy of Story has 22 steps. And the 7-point story structure has 7. And there's many, many, many more. And the great plotting tool Plotter has 17 ready-to-use templates to help you set up your plot structure. So if you're a planner, you've spent some time writing notes for each of the major events and the chapters and each scene in your novel, and then you start writing. But something happens when you're writing. Characters speak and take action in ways you hadn't planned. It just happens. And although the story isn't derailed, you must make subtle shifts in the scene in order to character choices that shift from the original plan. And so I want you to think about this. I think it happens to everyone. All story structures are meant as guidelines. And what can happen, especially with beginning writers, is you find yourself trying to squeeze the story into the structure you chose. And it feels awkward. And how will you get from the scene that you just wrote to that major plot turn that theoretically comes next in your story? And if you write that major plot point, how will it feel if it feels illogical and out of place from what just happened in the scene that you wrote? So, stop trying to squeeze your story. Listen to your characters. Planning is logical. Storytelling is intuitive. So, left brain, right brain, call it what you will. Planning, like editing, uses completely different brain circuits. And while you're writing, stay in the intuitive mode. Trying to jam your story into a format can crush your storytelling flow. You know what it's like when you're in the flow. Your character takes charge and makes the scene happen. This is when it feels really good when you're writing. They say things you never planned. They aren't in your scene notes. And they take actions that are nowhere in your outline. And it is so exciting when that happens. And those creative adjustments make you feel as though your story's going off track. But that's not the case. If you pay attention to the characters, you find out that they're doing the right thing for your story. They're being themselves. They are being themselves. You created them, and they are being themselves. And you are in touch with your characters as you're writing. So, keep writing. Your characters help you write your story, and when you keep going with those characters, you'll find that the story still falls into place. You may end up with a scene or two that you hadn't planned, or a scene that jogs the story in a new way, but keep writing and trust the process. Writing, fiction writing, is a process, and you have to trust that process. And that's when you may feel at odds with the story structure. Wait, these characters are doing this, and I don't know how to fit it into the story structure. But just keep writing, because your characters are going to guide you. If you overthink and try to confine your characters to your pre-planned outline, your story's going to feel squeezed. That's what's going to happen. So allow your mind the freedom to create, to let your characters express their traits by saying and doing what they need to do. You'll find when you reach the logical editing process, so planning is logical, editing is logical, right? In between is that creative process of writing the story. Anyway, when you get to the editing process, you'll find, and you'll be surprised, how you still meet the major turning points in the story. You may be a scene or two off. It may not be exactly the middle of the middle if you have a big midpoint, turning point. So planning helps you keep your story on track, but the characters fill in the action. And even though they may change from your original plan, the original major story events are still there. I mean, just try it. Trust the process. You'll find that it happens. I have a writing friend who calls it the next logical scene. And if you do that, even if now a major turn in your story structure is a little bit off, write the next logical scene, because you're going to end up at that major turning point. So the next time you feel like you're trying to squeeze your story into a structure, keep going with the characters and write. Just when you're in writing mode, write. And stop worrying about how it's all going to fit. I still believe in planning. It does help you write faster. And if you want help with your story structure planning, Plotter is just a fabulous tool. There's a link in the description below. Meanwhile, while you're writing, trust your process. All right, I hope this helps. I know this is a place where a lot of people get stuck and they feel uncomfortable. But if you have done your background work and really are in touch with your characters, they're going to lead you through the story. All right, thank you. If you enjoyed this, please click the notification bell below so you'll be notified when the next Write a Killer Mystery episode happens. Thank you once again, and keep writing.